Okay, you know about mythical creatures and fantasy, elves and fairies and vampires and all that stuff. And like, I had a past where past has been telling me putting that stuff in your artwork and all that stuff is demonic because those characters are not real. And God didn't create them. Well, when it comes to, God has taught me that it depends on what they symbolize. Like, he taught me that you can use these fantasy creatures in a God honoring way. Like, if you want to put a fairy in your artwork, what is the wings going to represent in a God honoring way? What are the wings going to represent in a God honoring way? What are the ears going to represent? What is the fairy as a whole going to represent in a God honoring way? And if it's not going to be God honoring, what are you going to do to lead the, like, what are you going to do to let the audience know, like, how are you going to use that fairy to let the audience know that that shouldn't be messed with? Like, are you going to make that fairy a demon? Or something like that? Think about God. God makes mythical creatures himself. He made them in John's vision on Revelations chapter 13. Beasts with seven horns. He made like beasts with several horns, several heads. Those animals don't exist, but he made them. And if you've seen in some of my previous videos of how I drew Jehovah, I drew Jehovah as several, like, as a couple of creatures. Like, one him like as an eagle, like as a birdish. One as a dog. You know what I'm saying? One as a deer. The one as a dog, the pink one as a dog, like the God of Wolf, one really spoke to him. Like, when God was inside of me, when God's inside of me, when God was inside of me, um, God and I gave God permission to speak to me through emotions. I had to repent to God just in case, like, because sometimes I do be forgetting to repent. So yeah. But yeah, God lead me. Need you in my life. So, so when God, when God, how do I say this? When God was inside of me, he talks me through his emotions. Like, when he is sad, I'm sad. Like, when he's crying, I'm crying. Like, when he's crying, he makes my tears come out. Like, he makes my tears, like, bubble out. I even feel like I'm crying when it's actually him crying. There are times where he's crying. I don't even know who's crying. There's times I don't even know who's crying. So yeah, there are times that God speaks to me through his emotions. One time, back to the God of Wolf. The when I made Jehovah a dog character in my pictures, the pink when he's black and he's all pinkish and purple with the hearts, the dog character, like how I drew him. Like when I told him that when I made a symbolizations about him having the heart of gold and him being the god of love, he cried tears of joy. He was really happy. So God doesn't really care if I create mythical creatures as long as I do it in a God honoring way. And me, I do entertain fairies and elves, but only for inspiration. I always find a Christian way to entertain them. Like, for example, I find a way to symbolize them in a God honoring way. And then just use them in a God honoring way, like make my own version of a fairy. So yeah, I also made this. This is inspired by Seraphim. This is inspired by Seraphim. Like my favorite angels. Because of how unhuman like they are. My favorite part is how I did the hair. That's my favorite part when I draw black characters. As you can see the little twist on the buns, the braids, the braids. The ball. Hold on. The ball. The ball. The ball. Around her legs. If you can see it, is her hair. It's like her hair is like. Her hair is like down. Her hair is like. Can you see it? Her hair is like down and then down, down, then tied with a rubber band, down, tied with a rubber band. It's like down, puffy, more like down, puffy, tied with a rubber band, down, puffy, tied with a rubber band, like that. Down, puffy, tied with a rubber band. So that's how long her hair is. Like an African seraphim, but this girl's not a seraphim. This girl's actually human with powers. Got one horn up, one horn down. And about God, he's a really symbolistic person when it comes to... He's a very symbolistic person when it comes to his artwork. He's very symbolistic when it comes to his artwork. If you don't see this, these are the eyeballs, eyes on the rubber bands. God is really symbolistic on the things he does. He doesn't mind creating mythical creatures as long as it's symbolistic. So one thing I can say is never let a preacher or anybody kill your imagination. Kill your imagination just by labeling anything demonic. Just by labeling everything demonic and just saying avoid it. As long as you can use it in a God-honoring way and create some kind of symbolism behind it, you're fine. You can do it. You're fine. You can do it. So yeah, let your inner child be creative. Let your inner child grow its imagination. Let your inner child, let your inner creativity flow. Let your, just let it flow. Don't let nobody kill your creativity. Don't let nobody tell you you can't use your imagination at all. You can just use it in a God-honoring way. Everything don't need to be realistic. If it's gonna be unrealistic, use it in a symbolistic, godly way. Use it to mean something symbolistic. So that way it's not blasphemy. It just means something. There's no blasphemy in it. So yeah. God bless.